The courtroom trembled with silence as the gavel struck, its echo splitting the air like thunder. Emily Carter said, "This cannot be the end," her voice breaking as the verdict settled like ash. Marcus Hale said, "Justice is not always what we believe it should be," his calm tone masking unease. Sarah Whitfield said, "The truth was twisted long before we arrived here," her eyes fixed on the trembling witness stand. The guarded survivor, Emily Carter, felt the weight of unseen ghosts pressing her chest. The warm comforter, Marcus Hale, reached forward with gentle hands, steadying her yet holding secrets of his own. The reluctant fire starter, Daniel Ross, sat in the back, sketching furious lines as his glare burned at the velvet-robed judge. The velvet blade, Evelyn Cross, leaned gracefully, lips pursed in silent triumph, a presence too composed for the chaos around her. Somewhere beyond the noise, the faint laughter of the lingering memory drifted through Emily's mind, haunting her resolve. The gavel struck again, shattering all doubt. In that instant, the law itself seemed less like salvation and more like a blade. Emily Carter said, "I thought justice meant truth." Her voice cracked as she left the courtroom, clutching her folder close to her chest. Marcus Hale walked beside her, steady and unreadable. He said, "Justice is what survives the fire, not always what creates peace." Daniel Ross trailed behind, his hoodie pulled tighter as he muttered, "You're all blind to what's real." Sarah Whitfield, waiting by the exit, whispered, "There's more to this verdict than what we heard inside." Evelyn Cross passed through the corridor like a shadow, her heels echoing, her smile carved with precision. The echo of the lingering memory lingered in Emily's mind, a melody of innocence now twisted. The hall reeked of polished wood and cold justice, yet none felt secure. Emily's breath quickened, the verdict settling into her like poison. She knew this was only the beginning. Emily Carter pressed against the courthouse wall, her hands trembling. She said, "If the law cannot protect us, what can?" Sarah Whitfield moved close, her voice hushed. She said, "It can reveal what others wish to bury." Marcus Hale stood apart, calm as stone, saying, "The law is not a shield, it is a mirror." Daniel Ross scoffed, "Mirrors break when struck hard enough." Evelyn Cross laughter echoed from a distance, sharp and deliberate. Emily's chest tightened as memories of the lingering memory whispered, a fleeting scent of lavender, and vanished laughter. The courthouse loomed like a beast around them. None spoke of safety. None believed they were free. Marcus Hale said, "We are walking into deeper waters now." His voice carried calm that felt rehearsed. Emily Carter whispered, "I already feel the weight pulling me under." Daniel Ross muttered, "Then drown or fight, but stop pretending." Sarah Whitfield said, "No, we fight with truth, even if it is fragile." Evelyn Cross appeared at the end of the hall, her gaze steady, her silence more dangerous than words. Emily's vision blurred, the lingering memory's face flickering in her mind. For a moment, the courthouse walls seemed to collapse inward, pressing them all toward a future none were ready for. The night air hit sharp as they stepped outside. Emily Carter whispered, "Every breath feels stolen." Marcus Hale adjusted his coat, saying, "The law steals and gives back in unequal measure." Daniel Ross kicked a stone hard across the pavement, muttering, "It's already broken." Sarah Whitfield looked skyward, her words soft. She said, "Broken things still carry truth." Evelyn Cross lingered on courthouse steps, her shadow long under street lamp glow. Emily's thoughts drifted again to the lingering memory, the scent of rain and faint laughter wrapping around her heart like chains. The city hummed beyond, unaware that justice had just fractured within its walls. Emily Carter walked into the dim cafe, the rain outside tapping like fingers against the glass. She said, "Every place feels like a waiting room now." Marcus Hale stirred his coffee slowly, replying, "Justice is patience in disguise, though it often burns the heart." Sarah Whitfield leaned across the table, her tone soft, "You carry too much alone, Emily." Daniel Ross burst in, his hoodie dripping rain, muttering, "She doesn't carry it alone, you just don't see the rest." Evelyn Cross entered last, gliding like a storm in silk, her smile polite yet edged. Emily's hands trembled on her cup, and the laughter of the lingering memory whispered in her ears, making her question what was real. Marcus adjusted his tie with practiced calm. Sarah offered a hand across the table. Daniel stared through the glass as if the storm spoke only to him, and Evelyn's presence bent the air. In that cafe, with shadows clinging to each wall, the fragile threads of trust and truth began to unravel. Marcus Hale said, "We cannot rebuild what we don't admit is broken." Emily Carter whispered, "I don't want to relive it again." Sarah Whitfield touched her wrist gently, saying, "You must if the law is ever to protect those like you." Daniel Ross scoffed, "The law protects no one, it feeds on silence." Evelyn Cross sat down, her voice smooth as glass. "Some truths are best shaped, not exposed." Emily's throat closed with fear, remembering the sealed letter she carried for years. Marcus avoided her gaze. Sarah leaned closer. Daniel's foot tapped impatiently, and Evelyn smiled too perfectly. Outside, thunder rattled the cafe windows, drowning the hum of conversation. Inside, the tension was thick enough to choke. Emily wondered if she could ever escape the cycle of betrayal the law seemed built upon. Emily Carter said, "That night still wakes me. The fire, the screams, the silence after." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "The memory is not weakness, Emily. It is proof of survival." Marcus Hale adjusted his jacket, replying, "Survival carries a cost, and the law demands you pay it." Daniel Ross slammed his notebook on the table, saying, "Stop pretending the law is anything but a weapon." Evelyn Cross tilted her head, voice honeyed, "Weapons can be wielded wisely." The lingering memory drifted again in Emily's mind, the scent of smoke and faint laughter. Emily's fingers traced invisible scars on the table's edge. Sarah reached toward her again. Marcus stared at the rain with unreadable calm. Daniel burned with restless defiance, and Evelyn's gaze cut through them all like glass. The cafe light flickered, and Emily realized the storm outside was nothing compared to the storm they carried inside. Daniel Ross muttered, "You all sit here sipping coffee while people vanish in the dark." Emily Carter said, "I lost them all once, I cannot lose again." Marcus Hale leaned back, replying, "Fear clouds what we must face." Sarah Whitfield said, "Pain does not end when silence grows, it deepens." Evelyn Cross smiled thinly, "Truth is dangerous when carried by the weak." Emily's chest tightened with every word, hearing the lingering memories humming melodies circle her mind. The storm cracked thunder so loud it silenced them all for a moment. Daniel's glare grew sharper, Sarah's eyes glistened with compassion, Marcus remained steady as stone, and Evelyn's coldness pressed like a blade. Emily realized trust was already slipping like sand between her hands. Emily Carter whispered, "I still hear their voices when I close my eyes." Sarah Whitfield replied, "Then those voices are guiding you, not haunting." Marcus Hale said, "Voices can lead us astray when grief speaks louder than reason." Daniel Ross clenched fists, muttering, "Reason has already failed us." Evelyn Cross smirked, "Grief and reason both bend to those who know how to control them." Emily pressed her hand against her folder, the sealed letter inside weighing more than paper ever could. The lingering memory's laughter echoed faintly, almost childlike, reminding her of all she had lost. Marcus looked calm but distant. Sarah radiated warmth yet fragile sadness. Daniel simmered with raw frustration, and Evelyn glimmered with cold power. The storm outside eased, but inside, the fracture between them widened beyond repair. Emily Carter spread papers across the dim hotel room, her voice sharp. "The evidence was here last night. Now it's gone." Marcus Hale checked his watch calmly, saying, "Evidence vanishes when power demands silence." Sarah Whitfield leaned closer, whispering, "Then we are chasing shadows, not truth." Daniel Ross slammed the window shut, muttering, "Or someone inside this room keeps feeding the fire." Evelyn Cross appeared in the doorway, her poise unbroken. Suspicion is a poison that weakens even the strongest cases. Emily's chest grew tight, the sealed letter calling her from inside her bag. The lingering memory's laughter rang faintly, as if mocking the missing papers. Emily glanced at Marcus, who looked untouched. Sarah's eyes brimmed with fear. Daniel's jaw was clenched with rage, and Evelyn's shadow stretched far across the floor. For Emily, the room itself felt like a trap built by the law's unseen architects. Emily Carter whispered, "We can't fight if truth keeps disappearing." Marcus Hale said, "Then we fight with what remains, not with what we wish we had." Sarah Whitfield pressed her hands together, murmuring, "Each loss cuts deeper into the heart of justice." Daniel Ross spat, "Stop pretending justice even breathes here." Evelyn Cross walked slowly inside, voice velvet smooth. "The stronger law is not written on paper, but carved into memory." Emily's pulse raced as she imagined the flames from her past. Marcus's stillness felt deliberate. Sarah's sorrow seemed heavy, Daniel's anger restless, Evelyn's grace sharpened like a knife. The missing evidence left only suspicion, and suspicion was more dangerous than proof. Outside, sirens howled faintly, drowning Emily's final thought. Someone among them was already betraying. Daniel Ross threw his sketchbook on the floor, shouting, "You keep waiting for answers, but they're already burning." Emily Carter recoiled, saying, "I've already lost too much to burn again." Marcus Hale said calmly, "Anger blinds more than it reveals." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "But sometimes anger is the only light left." Evelyn Cross smirked, saying, "Light is easily bent until no one remembers the original flame." Emily's mind twisted, the lingering memory humming through her like an unending echo. Marcus checked his watch again. Sarah's hand reached for Emily's. Daniel's fists shook. Evelyn's smirk deepened. The walls of the room seemed to close in. Emily realized trust was not only breaking, it was collapsing like the foundation of the very law they swore to defend. Emily Carter said, "Every step we take, the ground shifts beneath us." Marcus Hale replied, "Because those who control the law control the earth we stand on." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "If we don't anchor to truth, we will drown." Daniel Ross muttered, "Anchors drag you under as fast as they hold you steady." Evelyn Cross said, "Anchors only matter when you plan to stay. But I never do." Emily felt dizzy, her chest aching with survivor's guilt. The lingering memory's voice sang faintly, like a lullaby turning into a scream. Marcus appeared calm. Sarah radiated fragile warmth. Daniel's eyes burned. Evelyn's composure cut through them all. Emily realized none of them were safe, not even from each other. Emily Carter pressed her palms to her temples, whispering, "I can't keep holding the past and chasing the future at once." Marcus Hale said, "Then let the past rest, or the future will be buried with it." Sarah Whitfield replied softly, "The past only rests when truth is spoken aloud." Daniel Ross growled, "Then speak it. Stop clutching it like a secret weapon." Evelyn Cross leaned forward, smiling faintly. Some weapons destroy more in silence than when unleashed. Emily felt the sealed letter grow heavier in her bag. The lingering memory's laughter pierced her like glass, leaving her trembling. Marcus looked calm but unreadable, Sarah desperate yet kind, Daniel restless and sharp, Evelyn in perfect control. Emily finally understood. The law was not broken by accident, it was designed this way. Emily Carter opened the sealed folder at last, her hands trembling as yellowed pages spilled across the table. She whispered, "It was never destroyed." Marcus Hale leaned in, his voice firm, "This changes everything." Sarah Whitfield said, "Or it confirms we were already betrayed." Daniel Ross smirked bitterly, muttering, "Finally, someone admits it." Evelyn Cross tilted her head gracefully, saying, "Old paper cannot speak louder than living witnesses." Emily's pulse raced, her survivor's guilt clawing deeper as the lingering memories humming rose in her ears. Marcus adjusted his tie, Sarah clasped her hands tighter, Daniel leaned forward like a spark about to ignite, and Evelyn's eyes glimmered with cold amusement. The room thickened with revelations, the law's fragile mask finally cracking. Emily realized the truth was not just hidden, it had been caged by those sworn to protect it. Emily Carter whispered, "These signatures, they belong to those who claim to protect us." Marcus Hale said, "Then the law itself is complicit." Sarah Whitfield whispered shakily, It was betrayal written long before we began. Daniel Ross laughed dryly. And you wonder why I never trusted them. Evelyn Cross replied smoothly. You assume betrayal when it may only be survival. Emily's chest burned as she clutched the folder, the pages heavy with lies. Marcus's calm cracked for an instant. Sarah's lips trembled. Daniel's eyes sparked with restless triumph. Evelyn's smile widened with cold precision. The lingering memories' faint laughter filled the silence between thunder outside. Emily realized the truth was never lost. It had been buried alive. Sarah Whitfield said, "This proves the truth was hidden by those inside the system." "I'm telling you, cow." Emily Carter replied, "They built the law to silence, not protect." Marcus Hale stood still, saying, "Every system is designed by hands that choose control." Daniel Ross shouted, "And you still sit defending it." Evelyn Cross smirked, "Defending truth is different from defending law." Emily's head spun, memories of fire and silence twisting with the words on the page. Marcus's calm voice was strained. Sarah's compassion hardened into resolve. Daniel's fury was raw. Evelyn's grace sharpened like glass. The lingering memory's faint singing returned, guiding Emily toward a revelation she feared. She understood now. Justice was not broken, it was rewritten. Emily Carter said, "You knew all along, Evelyn." Evelyn Cross replied calmly, "Knowledge is survival, and survival is not a crime." Marcus Hale's voice sharpened, "But you turned silence into power." Sarah Whitfield cried, "People died because truth was hidden." Daniel Ross snarled, "And you still stand proud." Evelyn lifted her chin, saying, "Power never apologizes." Emily's vision blurred as the lingering memory's faint laughter pierced her. Marcus stepped forward. Sarah clenched her fists, Daniel's glare burned, and Evelyn's calm composure turned into a cold wall. The storm outside roared, as if echoing their voices. Emily realized this was the heart of betrayal. Evelyn had been the velvet blade cutting them all along. Emily Carter whispered, "You were always there, the shadow behind every wound." Evelyn Cross replied softly, "And yet here you stand, alive because of it." Marcus Hale said, "No, alive despite it." Sarah Whitfield added, "You shaped the silence that killed so many." Daniel Ross growled, "Then break her silence now." Emily felt her heart racing, the sealed letter inside her bag burning like fire. The lingering memory's voice sang a sorrowful lullaby, almost soothing. Evelyn's calm smile never wavered. Marcus' voice grew firm. Sarah's compassion hardened. Daniel's rage flared. Emily realized truth had not been revealed. It had been twisted into a new weapon. And in Evelyn's hands it was sharper than any blade. Emily Carter stood in the courtroom once more, her voice shaking. "The truth you buried still breathes." Marcus Hale said, "It will break more than it will heal, but speak it." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "Do not let fear silence you again." Daniel Ross shouted, "Say it now or everything dies in lies." Evelyn Cross smirked, "Words are fragile, and the law bends them like clay." Emily opened the letter, her chest heavy, her eyes locked on the judge's gaze. The lingering memory's faint laughter rippled in her ears, urging her forward. Marcus stood steady like a stone. Sarah trembled with compassion. Daniel's glare was fire. Evelyn's elegance sharpened like a blade. Emily's voice cracked louder, filling the air with truth long caged. The gavel hung above them, waiting to strike fate into stone. Emily Carter read aloud, signatures of power written in blood of silence. Marcus Hale said, "It ties them all to the crimes hidden in shadow." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "So many lives destroyed for their greed." Daniel Ross muttered, "And you thought law was justice." Evelyn Cross leaned forward, her voice cutting, "Survival always writes history, not victims." Emily's eyes blurred with tears, the sound of the lingering memory echoing like a hymn. Marcus clenched his jaw. Sarah covered her mouth. Daniel's fury grew restless. Evelyn's calm turned colder. The judge leaned forward, face unreadable. The courtroom's silence pressed down like stone, suffocating them all. Emily realized she was not just exposing truth. She was igniting war. Daniel Ross shouted, "They killed and buried the truth, but you kept it hidden." Emily Carter said, "I was afraid, but fear no longer chains me." Marcus Hale said firmly, "We stand in fire, but we do not run." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "Your voice is enough to pierce silence." Evelyn Cross smirked, "Pierce silence and you pierce your own safety." Emily's breath hitched, the lingering memories' presence washing over her like smoke. Marcus adjusted his tie. Sarah's tears glistened. Daniel's fists shook. Evelyn's eyes gleamed like steel. The judge's gavel struck once, booming like thunder. Emily's heart surged with both terror and resolve, knowing she had changed the course of justice forever. Emily Carter said, "The law itself carries betrayal in its veins." Marcus Hale replied, "Then it is our task to burn out the rot." Sarah Whitfield cried, "But at what cost to those left standing?" Daniel Ross growled, "There's nothing left to lose." Evelyn Cross said softly, "You will find there is always more." Emily's chest felt like fire, the letter shaking in her hands. The lingering memory's faint song returned, haunting and fragile. Marcus stood unwavering. Sarah's compassion cracked. Daniel's fury boiled. Evelyn's calm spread like poison. The gallery stirred with whispers, the judge's face grim. Emily felt the walls of the law close in, yet her voice refused to break. She realized this was the breaking point, where justice would either rise or shatter forever. Emily Carter whispered, "The truth is spoken, and it cannot be buried again." Marcus Hale said, "Then the fire has begun, and it will not stop." Sarah Whitfield added, "We carry their memory in every word we speak." Daniel Ross roared, "Let it burn until nothing false stands." Evelyn Cross smirked faintly, saying, "Fire consumes the innocent as easily as the guilty." Emily's eyes filled with tears, the memory of those lost flickering like ghosts. Marcus stood tall, Sarah leaned close with quiet strength, Daniel's glare burned bright, Evelyn's grace was a weapon still unsheathed. The lingering memories' laughter rose, echoing against the high walls. Emily realized this was not the end of the fight, but the beginning of something far more dangerous. The gavel struck once more, the sound hollow, final, and cruel. Emily Carter whispered, "Justice is twisted, not served." Marcus Hale replied, "It is resolution, but not redemption." Sarah Whitfield pressed her trembling hand to her lips, murmuring, "How many must pay before truth is honored?" Daniel Ross kicked the wooden bench, muttering, "The guilty still breathe free." Evelyn Cross adjusted her dress, smiling faintly, and so the cycle continues, as it always has. Emily's chest burned as the sealed letter slipped from her trembling fingers. The lingering memory's faint laughter swirled like smoke around her ears, reminding her of everything stolen. Marcus remained calm. Sarah's tears fell. Daniel's rage roared silent, and Evelyn stood tall, untouched by shame. The courtroom doors groaned shut behind them, sealing not justice, but a cruel shadow of it. Emily realized this verdict was not an ending, but a scar carved into law itself. Emily Carter whispered, "This law was never built for us." Marcus Hale said firmly, "But it was built by us, and that makes its betrayal heavier." Sarah Whitfield replied, "If betrayal is all we inherit, then justice becomes a lie." Daniel Ross growled, "The lie is the only thing still alive in this room." Evelyn Cross smiled coldly, saying, "Lies are often more useful than truths." Emily's eyes burned with unshed tears, her chest aching with guilt. Marcus's calm cracked just slightly. Sarah leaned close with quiet strength. Daniel's fists trembled against the table. Evelyn's eyes glinted with victory. The lingering memory whispered a lullaby in Emily's mind, forcing her to remember the cost of silence. The walls of the courtroom pressed tighter, suffocating them with truth denied. Emily realized this was not resolution, it was punishment disguised as order. Sarah Whitfield said, "We cannot leave it like this, we must fight still." Emily Carter replied, "My fight is ashes, and I am tired of burning." Marcus Hale said calmly, Ashes are proof the fire existed, and proof can ignite again. Daniel Ross shouted. Then why do you all keep standing here like cowards? Evelyn Cross said softly. Because fire destroys faster than it saves. Emily's shoulders shook as the lingering memory's presence pressed heavily into her heart. Marcus stood steady. Sarah's hand grasped Emily's tightly. Daniel's glare burned hotter. Evelyn's grace remained untouched. The gallery emptied behind them, whispers scattering like broken glass. Emily stared at the folded letter, now marked with courtroom dust. She realized ashes could still be carried, and in carrying them, she could still wound the silence. Emily Carter whispered, "Every path forward feels poisoned." Marcus Hale answered, "Then we must walk poisoned roads until they clear." Sarah Whitfield said, "Even poisoned roads still lead somewhere." Daniel Ross spat, "They lead us into the grave." Evelyn Cross smirked faintly, "And yet graves are where history begins again." Emily closed her eyes as the lingering memories humming rose, echoing from the past to the present. Marcus straightened his tie. Sarah steadied her breath. Daniel's fists shook at his sides. Evelyn remained still as stone. The night air pressed cold against the tall windows, rain dripping faintly. Emily realized this was no victory nor defeat, only survival painted as justice. And survival was the cruelest verdict of all. Emily Carter whispered, "Justice has been denied, but it cannot silence the dead." Marcus Hale said firmly, "The record will live, though the verdict has failed." Sarah Whitfield replied, "Truth echoes louder when chains try to hold it down." Daniel Ross shouted, "Then let it echo until walls collapse." Evelyn Cross smirked coldly, "Walls outlast voices." Emily felt the sealed letter heavy in her hand again, her tears falling like ash. Marcus's calm steadiness grew darker. Sarah's hope fought her sorrow. Daniel's fury burned. Evelyn's elegance glistened cruelly. The lingering memories' laughter soared, filling Emily with both pain and strength. The courtroom doors opened to the storm outside, cold wind rushing in. Emily realized this was not closure, but an endless haunting, one that would live beyond verdict or law. The storm had ended, leaving the streets slick with rain and silence heavy as stone. Emily Carter whispered, "The verdict lives, but justice died tonight." Marcus Hale said calmly, "Justice bends, but always leaves a scar behind." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "Then scars are all we have left." Daniel Ross kicked at broken glass on the pavement, muttering, "Scars don't heal, they remind you of the wound forever." Evelyn Cross emerged from the courthouse steps, her poise unshaken, saying softly, "Scars become memory, and memory is power." Emily's chest tightened as the lingering memory's voice hummed through the night like a lullaby. Marcus's calm was unreadable. Sarah leaned on her own fragile hope. Daniel's anger burned still. Evelyn's elegance shone darkly. The city lights flickered, as if the whole world was complicit in silence. Emily realized they were not leaving with justice, but with a wound, disguised as truth. Emily Carter whispered, "Every shadow feels heavier now." Marcus Hale said, "That is because truth walks with us, even unseen." Sarah Whitfield murmured, "Truth does not comfort. It lingers like sorrow." Daniel Ross spat, "It lingers because no one dares to finish it." Evelyn Cross smiled faintly, saying, "Truth is never finished, it is rewritten endlessly." Emily felt the sealed letter tremble in her hands, still unopened, still heavy. The lingering memory's laugh carried across the cold wind like a ghost clinging to her. Marcus's face remained calm, but his eyes showed cracks. Sarah's compassion wavered. Daniel's fury refused to die. Evelyn's elegance glimmered, sharp and merciless. The street stretched before them, rain dripping from neon signs. Emily realized no path forward would be free of shadows. Emily Carter said, "I still hear their voices." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "Then carry them, Emily. Let them guide you." Marcus Hale said firmly, "Voices are memory, and memory shapes justice." Daniel Ross growled, "Justice built on memory is already broken." Evelyn Cross smirked. Broken things can be sharpened into weapons. Emily's throat closed as the lingering memory's scent of lavender filled the night. Marcus's hand rested steady in his pocket. Sarah's warmth glowed fragile. Daniel's rage flared like fire. Evelyn's poise held like steel. The rain slowed. The streetlight hummed above them, and silence filled the air like judgment. Emily realized memory itself could be twisted, bent, sharpened, or silenced. And those choices would decide whether justice lived or died. Emily Carter whispered, "This fight doesn't end here." Marcus Hale said, "The fight never ends. It only changes faces." Sarah Whitfield whispered, "We carry their weight with us forever." Daniel Ross shouted, "Then break the chain and burn the weight." Evelyn Cross said calmly, "Chains bind, but chains also hold what would otherwise scatter." Emily's heart throbbed, the sealed letter heavier than ever in her grasp. The lingering memory hummed again, this time softer, like a plea. Marcus's composure stayed intact. Sarah's warmth flickered fragile. Daniel's anger boiled raw. Evelyn's elegance cut sharp. The wind howled between the buildings, carrying voices lost in time. Emily realized justice was not a destination, but a haunting that would never let her rest. Emily Carter stood alone at the edge of the street, whispering, "The law shaped us, but it never saved us." Marcus Hale said, "Scars remain where justice failed." Sarah Whitfield said softly, "Scars can heal, even if never forgotten." Daniel Ross muttered, "Scars just remind you the blade is still near." Evelyn Cross smiled faintly, "And blades are always waiting in silence." Emily pressed the sealed letter to her chest, the lingering memory's laughter echoing one last time. Marcus's calm turned somber. Sarah's compassion shimmered fragile. Daniel's rage cooled to embers. Evelyn's elegance remained untouchable. The night grew silent, the city breathing in shadows. Emily whispered one last line to herself. The law that shaped us was built on wounds, and wounds never vanish. The truth lingered, unanswered, haunting them forever.